Hello, fellow constitutionalists, and welcome to the Dan Clements Show, a Christian political talk show. I'm your host, Dan Clements, your constitutional warrior fighting for your right just to be an American. It is July 27th, the year of our Lord 2024. Remember, we're a hyphen-free, PC-free zone. God is still in control, and He does love you. And I'm broadcasting from the Hemlock Studios here in the beautiful central Susquehanna Valley in the great Keystone State. And today we're going to talk a little bit about illegal immigration, because the immigration czar is now the presumptive Democrat nominee for the run for the presidency of the United States, since President Joe Biden has stepped aside from the campaign. And I know what's happening right now is that not only is the lamestream media scrubbing any mention of Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, being the immigration czar, which they can't, because there's too many people out there like me that save clips to their computers. I don't have any of those, but plenty of folks have been sharing them over the past few days since this scrubbing has happened. And again, I just recorded a video, and you'll be seeing that later today, where the weak-minded, the low information, useful idiots out there will believe what the lamestream media will tell them, that she was never the immigration czar. She can't lay that problem at her feet. And they're going to throw President Joe Biden underneath the bus for that. But we know better. We out here know better. So today we're going to this is going to be a real short video, because I don't want to get into the numbers real heavy, because a lot of people, their brains go mush, and mine does too every now and then when we get into too many numbers. But I have this article from FAIR, Foundation for American Immigration Research. Their director details the cost of immigration at congressional hearing. And I have links to the full transcript of her testimony, and other links that'll be down the show notes page of when I get this posted on later this morning and that. And her name was Kari Jacobson, and she's a government relations associate for FAIR. And this was put out in May of this year. Last week, the House Budget Committee held a hearing to examine the cost of the border crisis, highlighting FAIR's extensive research on the financial cost of illegal immigration. And let me do something here real quick. I guess it is as big as it's going to get. Okay. FAIR's executive director, Julie Kirchner, served as an expert witness and laid out how the chaos at the border and the Biden administration open border policies are imposing record cost on American taxpayers. 1 year ago, FAIR estimated the net cost of illegal immigration to be at least $150.7 billion. That's with a B, folks. An uptick of nearly $35 billion since 2017. This substantial burden cost American taxpayers approximately $9,000 per illegal alien and over $1,000 per American taxpayer. Since the study was completed, at least 2.5 million more illegal aliens have entered under President Biden's watch. Throughout the hearing, FAIR 2023 study on the fiscal burden of illegal immigrations served as the focal point. In her opening statement, Kirchner stated it does not have to be this way. Americans need not be paying billions of dollars as a result of illegal immigration. This is a man-made crisis. From the moment the Biden administration took office, it tore down the programs and policies designed to deter illegal immigration. And there's a little graphic I just want to show you. And this is the net total expenditures by the U.S. government. Altogether, $182 billion. Total tax contributions, $31 billion. So the total burden to taxpayers, total tax contributions, what they're doing in that is, well, those illegal immigrants, they're contributing to the tax system. when they work and stuff like that, because money's being taken out. Okay, so that's 31 billion. So you adjust that down, so you got $150.7 billion that the American taxpayer is still paying. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, to me it is totally ridiculous to argue those type of numbers. They're not. If the illegals weren't here to begin with, that $31 billion is a drop in the bucket compared to what we're actually paying. Okay, them almost 5 times as much come out of the taxpayer pockets to support the illegal aliens. And so we wouldn't even be spending the $182 billion to begin with if we had a reasonable immigration system, which we did under President Trump. But Joe Biden, when he came in as president, tore everything down. Just burn it to the ground, basically. All right, now the other one that the other site that I use, and I don't know why it just did that. Hang on a minute, folks. Let me put my mug back up here and get this drug back up. Or every time I go over this, it goes down the bottom. This is a 20-page report, by the way, that I'm going to show you here. I did it again. Let's do this. Okay. Foreign-born population grew by 5.1 million in the last 2 years. This is by Stephen A. Camarata and Karen Ziegler from Center for Immigration Studies.org. The foreign-born or immigrant population, legal and illegal, has hit new record highs in March 2024 of 51.6 million and 15.6 million of the total U.S. population, or 15.6% of the total U.S. population. Since March 2022, the foreign-born population has increased 5.1 million, the largest 2-year increase in American history. The foreign-born population has never grown this much this fast, although many think of immigrants as only as workers, less than half of those who arrived since 2022 are employed. This analysis is based on the government's monthly current population survey, CPS, which, like any survey, has a margin of error, so there are fluctuations in the data, but the increase in the last 2 years is unlike anything seen before and is statistically significant. Among the findings, in March 2024, the foreign-based population reached 51.6 million, 5.1 million more than in 2022, the largest 2-year increase ever recorded in American history. The 51.6 million foreign-born residents in March of this year were 15.6% of the U.S. population, also record highs in American history. Since President Biden took office in January 2021, the foreign-born population has increased by 6.6 million in just 39 months. We have previously estimated that nearly 58% of the increase under President Biden is due to illegal immigration. If present trends continue, the foreign-born population will reach 62.5 million in 2030 and 82.2 million in 2040, larger than the current combined population of 30 states plus the District of Columbia. Many observers think the immigration solely as workers, but only 46% of the foreign-born who arrived in 2022 or later were employed in the first part of 2024. Similar to the share of new arrivals employed during previous economic expansions. As in any human population, many newly arrived immigrants are children, elderly, disabled, caregivers, or others with no ability to work or interest in doing so. Only about 8% of the 2.5 million new arrivals who are now working say they are actively looking for work. The dramatic recent increases in the size of the foreign-born population represents a net growth. The numbers of new arrivals was much higher, but was offset by outmigration and natural mortality among the foreign-born already here. There also is some undercount in the data, so the actual number of foreign residents in the United States is larger. And it goes on to introduction, like I said, for 19 more pages of that. I do have a graph I do want to show you from numbers. These are the three sites I use: FAIR, Center for Immigration Studies, and Numbers USA. And Numbers USA, I like this graph here. They sort of broke it down. Immigration's by the numbers, okay? And this isn't just, a lot of people misunderstand this, that they believe it's all across the southern border. It's not. Illegal immigration happens everywhere in the country, whether they're coming across the southern border or they're flying in and overstaying their visas. Nearly 1.4 million migrants were released into the interior fiscal year 2023, with over 1 million released by the Border Patrol alone. 850,000 visitors overstayed their visas and remained in the country illegally in 2022. 670,000 aliens were reported to have entered the country illegally without apprehension and blended into the underground workforce that employers exploit, as there is no requirement to use the free E-Verify online system, verify work authorizations. Over 1 million individuals obtained lawful permanent residence, green cards, in fiscal year 2022. In other words, they went about it the right way. Okay? So we have 1 million released per year, 850,000 overstays. I mean, they came here, students or whatever, doctors, come in on a visa, they learn to go to college, and then they don't go home. Known getaways, 670,000 per year, and then green cards, 1 million per year. So again, those numbers alone are staggering. And our country, a sovereign country, just can't sustain this, folks. It really can't. We're not going to be a country, another 50, 60 years, we're not going to be our own country anymore, because these foreign-born immigrants, illegal immigrants, don't care about our country. It's just like the Democrats moving out of states they can no longer tolerate, bringing their politics with them to the new states, and making the new states just as bad as the states that they left. That's ridiculous, folks. I can't tell you how wrong-headed that is. And the immigrants, they do not want to become Americans. The illegal immigrants, there's interview after interview after interview of them out there. A lot of them feel that they have a right to immigrate to the United States, and they don't. It's a privilege. It's not a right. And I hope President Trump gets back in there, and I hope that he not only does executive orders, that he actually goes through Congress. I hope the Republicans get enough of a majority and are persuaded to pass laws to strengthen our immigration laws, that a president just can't, well, I'm just not going to enforce that law, which he can. I mean, Obama did it, Biden did it, so there's got to be some teeth behind these laws that hold these politicians accountable. Presidents just can't, by their own whim, not enforce laws that are put on the books, because that means they're just dissing a co-equal branch of government, and there's got to be repercussions for that. One of them would be impeachment and removal, but we don't seem to want to go that route. But the numbers are staggering. Our country cannot sustain these numbers. Our taxpayers cannot sustain these burdens, these fiscal burdens. We have enough of our own problems without importing more. And we need to close that southern border. And this is my opinion. I'm not a diplomat. You can take it for what it's worth. But I kind of look at Mexico as being a failed state on our southern border. It's not the Mexican government that's running anything down there. It's the cartels. And China's exploiting that and releasing fentanyl through our southern border and killing God knows how many American citizens with the fentanyl epidemic. We got a foreign, aggressive power that is importing poison into our country, and nothing's being done about it. Nothing's being done about it. I would say something about Biden still getting his money from China through Hunter Biden, but I'm just a conspiracy theorist, folks. I really am. So there's just a real quick blurb on immigration by the numbers. We're going to have some more articles in the future from these various groups talking about immigration as things come up and things worsen actually. But hopefully, not that I'm a huge fan of Donald Trump, but hopefully he'll win the presidency. He'll win the election. He won't be assassinated before he gets into office. And he does something again about the border, which everything he did, immigration-wise, was constitutional and was within his purview as the President of the United States to do so to protect this country. It really was. Believe me, folks, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm not joking. I don't do a good Biden. I can't stand the guy. Folks, this has been the Dan Clements Show. I'm your host, Dan Clements, your constitutional warrior. Remember, if you aim at nothing, you hit it every time. We'll see you folks on the next video.